And record.
Hi, everybody. Take two. So we've finally decided to go back to our Zoom catch-ups, and instead of just sharing them on our YouTube, we're going to be sharing them on our pages. So you can, if we can't get the live sorted, you'll be able to connect and share in our conversations and insights. So, yeah, we're really excited about it. Tonia and I have been collaborating now for a little while, and for me, Tony's insights and how he's helped me with my business and connecting to my story needs to be shared. And many of you I know that I come across with doing readings, and those that are stepping into their sole purpose or wanting to run your own business or just work in a company and own who you are and bring that aspect out. Tony's got some great insights, and he just has a really great knack of being able to help you do that. So Tony does offer one-on-one sessions, and I highly recommend them because he really, I think we've done over the time, like a jamming session where within 1 to 2 sessions you've got your answers. You don't need to keep going back. Tony's on the mark with getting stuff done. Get your story, helps you bring that out, and I highly recommend him. And that's why I want to share all these insights with you guys. So welcome, Tony. Thank you.
Tonia, thank you so much. You're way too kind. You really are. And I'd like to say hello to all your listeners as well, because I know you've got a really healthy following. So I feel really privileged to be here. And your intro is beautiful. Basically that's what I do, Tonia. I've been doing this for a while. So for those of you that don't know me, I've got a background in psychology, and I've been working in leadership and also presentation skills. And really at the end of the day is what I look at doing is helping people get in touch with who they really are. And then how do we actually express that in the best possible way? And I say that because I'm not really good at it. I'm working on myself daily, but I get the privilege to work with others. Although I've got and this is where Tonia and I get along so well, is Tonia comes from a psychic realm and all that, and I come from a psychology realm, and we mix the two together. My blessing is, I suppose, I really respect what you've got to say and what you do, and that comes a lot from my mum as well. My mum is also a clairvoyant, so I've been brought up into it. But I also looked at the scientific things. So what I looked at as patterns, what was working with people, what wasn't working with people. And what I find is the biggest thing, Ton, and you must probably have that, I think everybody they feel like they're never good enough, like they've got to be something else. And I don't think it's that complicated. I think we're all beautiful human beings. It's just how do we bring out the best bits of us at the best times? And this is what we love doing. So Tonia, thank you so much. Absolutely love your energy, love your company. So I'm looking forward to have a chat. And these chats, as you can tell, I can talk a lot. So can you, Ton. So.
Absolutely. No problems there.
I know. Let's just let's preface this, the whole chat. The chat's about this. We don't know what we're going to say every week, right? We've got no idea. There is no agenda. But we're just going to bring things to life, and we're going to see what the universe brings in and what we can do. And I suppose with your viewers as well, they'll have the opportunity to write in and ask questions. And I'm happy to answer any questions that get thrown at me. Just give me a couple of days, so I'll have to siphon through them all, but I will get back to you at some point. And Tonia, I'm pretty sure you're quite active with your viewers as well.
Absolutely. And I think that at the end of the day, it's a little bit like we're seeing a lot now of connecting with your purpose and really connecting with the why am I doing this, the driver. And I think that's something that you and I share, is we both have that driver to help others, to be of service, to help make a difference. And by doing that, it makes our lives better because we get the joy of experiencing that. So I think that's a real common thing, that a thread that we have, is being able to help people and help them on their journey. And it's not about who's wherever in this picture. We're all at the end of the day on an even keel, but it's being able to make a difference. And sometimes just some words of wisdom or some guidance, and I say to people, if you hear something and it resonates, or you just get that a bit of an awakening. Sometimes it can be that simple, where you're hearing somebody say something and it resonates, follow that, because it's really important that we tune into our own inner guidance. And I think that's a great thing that both Tonia and I are really passionate about, is we all have it within, and we're just connecting to help you be able to connect with that inner voice, so what is good for you.
Yeah, that's right. All we do is we just resonate with whatever that inner voice is, and that's the beautiful thing about it. We don't try to change anybody. We don't. If you've got a gut feeling, and it's really easy, Tonia, I think we both agree on this. If you've got a gut feeling, go with it. But and we've spoken about this before, like having the confidence to go forth and follow that gut feeling is such a daunting task. You go, I don't know. So all we do is become the gauge. And also, people should know I'm actually in Sydney. So Tonia, whereabouts are you?
I'm in country Victoria, and I did share that bit of info, which you would have missed on the live.
I did.
Tony, single guy from Sydney for all the girls.
Yes, absolutely. And I am working, and Tonia's helped me out so much with my relationship patterns, helping me define what I want and how to go for it. And it's been really, really nice. It's one of the most beautiful things that Tonia actually pulled up. She reminds me of a Hungarian mother, Tonia. Tonia's beautiful. Her heart's in the right place. And she just says it how it is. So I have to be ready for that information. And she turns around. This is what and you were so spot on, Ton, and I love you for doing this. And I think, geez, why don't my relationships work out so well? And there's still this word that that resonates in my head. And when I mean resonates, it thumps in my head. And you described me as a chameleon. And that term was so right. I never knew I was doing it. Basically what that means is, for me, I'll meet a girl and I will, like, all my dreams, all my aspirations go out the window, and I'll just do whatever that girl wants to do. I'll become that yes guy, right? But other than that, I'm really assertive. I know what I want to do. I know what I want to go for. And it sucks because what happens is people don't get to know who I am. And Tonia, you did this really well, where I will know everything about a girl, absolutely everything. And the common feedback I always get is with girls, they go, Tony, you know everything about me, but I know nothing about you. And I go, yeah, that's cool. I'm happy with that. I'll just deflect. So Tonia, you've broken down those walls for me, which is I'm really, really grateful for. So thank you very much for that.
And I think a really great story about that too, which I love and I think is worth sharing, is also with your comedy, how you have been really stripped back to becoming vulnerable at this point in time. And then you've also had this realization with relationships. It's kind of, they're entwined really, aren't they?
Oh, 100%. Look, let's just get one thing straight. I'd like to think my comedy's funny, but it's not.
It is. It's great. You're good at comedy.
Yeah, and I do it on an amateur level. And I really, but it is therapy. You're right, Tonia, because what I look at, the comedy is about self-deprecation. It's about tearing down the walls and just, you know, you're not perfect. You're really imperfect, and bringing out those imperfections to an audience and allowing them to laugh about it. Now, I really struggle with that, and I still do today. And I think my biggest thing is ego. It is, and I'll be really vulnerable in saying that, is I've got to shift that ego. So trying to get deeper and deeper for me, it's sort of like I've got a bit of armor around me that I've got to rip off to get in there, and every now and gets closed back in. But when I do open up, that's when some of the best stuff comes out. It really does. So comedy is quite therapeutic for me. So if you ever see a comedian and they're not funny, just sympathize. Yeah, just laugh.
I know. I love it too. Like we, even, you know, Andrew, my partner, and I, we love comedy. Like we love watching, you know, and we were just saying the other day, there's such a lack of funny movies out, like, to watch, even, you know, whether it's Netflix or Foxtel. They seem to be all very drama or horror or whatever at the moment. And I'm like, we just love to, it's almost like that's a debrief, is to be able to just sit and laugh. And it's just so, like you say, it's therapy. It's laughter is the best medicine. And I really believe in that. And, you know, sometimes even when you're not feeling like you need a laugh, it just happens. And that's what can snap you out of it. And it's a little bit like we're around at the moment, the Are You OK? You know, everyone's on that today. So, and I think for me, if I'm feeling down or sad or I struggle to snap out of, you know, that, you know, sometimes we get ourselves into that state. Comedy for me is a great deflector. It's a great, and I just find laughing and connecting to that laughter will lift your vibration so much. And it's not that it takes away things going on, but it just, I feel like it's a great tool for people to be able to, when you're laughing, it's hard to be down, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And look, there's some really, really good points that I like about and comedy and really good comics. Actually, I'm reading a book at the moment, which is Kevin Hart, the comedian, and he talks about the power of comedy. And the power of comedy is that he'll talk about his own life, but it's relatable. So, and that's where we laugh. We get to laugh at our own problems. Where you might go, he might say, "Oh, my wife the other day, she was like really, really having a go at me. She was telling me off this, that, the other, and I'm sweating, and I'm, in these deep thoughts." And he goes into his own deep thoughts as what's happening, but it's quite humorous. And then what we think, we go, "Geez, we've all had a partner where we thought we were under pressure, and how do we react?" And he brings out the funny out of it, and that's where the therapy actually happens. And I agree with you, Tom. I do the same. And that's why I think comedy is a beautiful form of therapy, and I'm glad that you guys find it the same way.
Mm. And what do you, as we're seeing, like I've noticed this morning, just a lot of posts about "Are you okay?" So everyone's sticking up, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But what do you think? We can always, asking that question is great, but if from a psychology point of view, what more can we do besides just asking that? Because sometimes I feel like the people that are, maybe doing it hard would respond with the automatic "I'm fine."
Sure. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'll be honest with you. I two things. I'll go on a personal level this week, and I shared with you this early on, Tom. I actually went for beginning of this week, it was a lot of heavy energy. I was actually really down and out, and I don't know why. I know why actually. When I had a friend chat to me, they go, "What's your sleep patterns like?" And I was doing 4 hours a night, and I was working a lot, and I was burnt out, and it was going to happen, but I didn't see it that way. I was quite lucky. I do a thing on how to approach "Are you okay?" day, and I actually followed my own formula where I had to ask somebody for help. Now, I went in there, and the way I did that, I asked for permission. So I had a friend of mine and said, "Hey, look, I'm a little bit down and out at the moment. Do you mind if we have a chat?" And thank God she says, "Yep, not a problem." And then we had this chat, and I just told her how I was feeling and what my thoughts were. And then just by talking about it was really, really good. It was really healthy. So that's one part of it. But let's go back to "Are you okay?" day. It's a beautiful day. The gesture's fantastic. However, we are pre-programmed to say, "Hey, Tonia, are you okay?" And what would you normally say?
Yeah, fine. I'm good.
Fine. Yeah. Your world could be, it could be shattered glass all around you. You could be absolutely in shit. And you got to think about, people don't, there's a couple of reasons why people say, "Yep, sure, I'm fine." The first thing is they think, even if I am in shit and I've got a whole lot of stress, I'm not going to admit that to anybody else because it looks weak. Yeah. I don't want to be a burden to anybody else. Right. That's the other thing that people will naturally think. And the other thing is, well, how's this person really going to help me? I'm going to say I'm no good, and then what? So there's a couple of things, there's a couple of stigmas around it that we have. So when it comes into, like, I just came through the office today, and one of the girls I spoke to, I go, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I looked at her, I go, "Really?" She goes, "Not really."
See, this is that, and that's what I think, like when I see, I've seen all the posts, and I think it's great because it brings awareness to it, which is massive.
Yeah.
But I feel like that we need to go a little bit deeper, and in the deeper part of it, it's not necessarily the confronting question of "Are you okay?" but it's actually taking time to sit down and have a chat with somebody and digging a little bit deeper.
Yeah, and it's the digging a little bit deeper that can scare some people, because how much deeper do you want to go? And I agree with you. You've got to get deeper and work it out. So it can be very daunting. And I think for me as a human being, and for you as well, Tonia, we're okay with getting deep because we're used to. We've seen that many people. We're used to, and we get intrigued with, what's really going on. I think everyone on this planet actually has a heart, and they care, and they love other people genuinely. There's not a problem there. But I think we get intimidated and get a little bit scared to go, I don't know how deep to go. I don't know, geez, what's going to happen? How am I going to actually help this person out? Are they going to say stuff that I can't help them with? And you know what? Most probably not. But what you can do is you can listen. And let's say, I'm going to bring up the worst case scenario. Let's say something happened where a person got molested as a child, okay? And this is worst case scenario, okay? So I'm just going to bring that up. And somebody might go, They go, are you okay? And they go, no, you know, I had this problem when I was a child. I was molested. I was da-da-da, and it's really bringing me down now. And I can't form a relationship. And it's really devastating. Now, that would be a daunting thing for anybody to have to deal with. But what you can do as a human being is just go and just address their feelings or their thoughts. And you go, wow, that sounds like it would be really hard, or that sounds like the feelings that you had are quite strong. Acknowledge that. Don't push it away. But then what you want to do is have a point of reference to where they can go to. Go, look, you know what? You sound like you need to speak to somebody. So go see, you know, go to Lifeline or Beyond Blue or something like that. Like, tell them to go somewhere. Give them some sort of resource. And that way you can have that conversation. Are you okay? If they start to get a little bit deeper, you go, okay, cool. I understand that you're going through pain, but give these people a call or see this psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Or see,
also, I think being open about it, saying, you know, like being like, I can't imagine what you're going through. I mean, we have that when we have, you know, I'll have people come for readings that have been through trauma, and it's like, I can't put my hand up and say, I understand it. And basically, I'm not a psychologist. So you're spot on there. It's directing them to the right help. But sometimes just having a listening ear. And that's what I find with this, you know, like, are you okay? It's like catching up with somebody and just having a chat. And I suppose, you know, for a lot of us that are a bit scared to go deeper, it's not about, it's just like you said, it's about listening and asking questions that enable somebody to engage.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the questions can be as simple as, if you have them around 3 different areas, just ask how they're feeling, what they're thinking, and what their actions are. Really easy. Just go, oh, how does that make you feel? Okay, what are the thoughts associated? Have you done anything about it? Or are you seeking to see anybody? Or empower them by asking the questions, and don't tell. Whatever you do, and Tonia, you know this, and I don't advise. You can always give your opinion, in the sense where, well, oh, you're feeling down and out. You shouldn't. You should just feel better. Go and exercise. Go do this. Go do that. I mean, like, sure, they're good, healthy sort of things, but try not to give too much of a biased opinion where you can shift something and it might not be the best thing for them.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, that takes us back to our thing of the inner guidance. But, you know, they know, ultimately we all know our own truth and what sits well with us. And no one wants to be told. I don't think we grew up being told, and it's like, I think anyone that addresses things where they're telling someone or they're being bossy to somebody, it's like, it doesn't work.
Yeah. And it goes back to like Adam Smith, the famous philosopher back 300 years ago. And he talked about human motivation. And he said, you know, human beings will resist people who bark directions and orders at them, right? Will absolutely resist. And we've known this for ages. Aristotle talked about it as well. But what people will move towards is motive and objectives. So the reasons why, and also if there's a goal. So they'll move, if they understand the why behind it, then they'll do that. But being told, nobody likes it. Like, go clean your room. I don't think so.
Absolutely. And we had that conversation on the weekend, and it's a little bit like, do as I say and not as I do. Yeah. You know, we need to be, and it's not to put our hand up. No one ever has anything perfect. And I think that's great about things in this day and age compared to, I know when I was growing up, it was fake it till you make it. So you really had to, you had to keep that professionalism. So there was always a separation from what you were doing professionally and that client. You know, there was always that respect for the client, but you sort of more or less fully worked for them, and you kept your personal, the aspects of you were kept behind that professional bravado. Whereas I feel like now they're breaking that down. That's a big difference in business.
That's interesting, Ton. You know what? I'm actually looking at that, breaking down the walls, and I want to know if it's generational, but also because you've got listeners in America as well. And I wonder if it's cultural, because we've got this Aussie thing. So for us Australians, we've got this really harshness about us. Emotions are not something that we spoke about. And a lot of it comes out of, post-war era. Like, you come back, you had a problem, you just take a teaspoonful of concrete or a bucket and you just toughen up and you get on it. We're not a nation that speaks about emotions. I'm really curious to know with your listeners in America, if the culture's different over there, if they're more open to it. And also what you bring up is it's generational. So can you see a shift now where we're starting to become more vulnerable and opening up?
Definitely. because that's one thing I've struggled with, because I've always been, you know, my background having a hair salon is listening. So listening to others. And I really never really gave away much of myself. I was a bit like yourself, you know, it was like about them and not me. So now people want it to be about me.
Yep.
And I have seriously always struggled with that, because it's like, oh, you want to hear my side, you know, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, because it's been something that, you know, we didn't connect with previous. So
I agree with you, Tonia. I have the same struggle. I will love everybody's story, absolutely intrigued, just like yourself. And then when they go, oh, so tell me all about yourself, and you're like, and there's crickets in the background. It's like,
and I also think part of that is we've gone through life toughening up and just getting on with it. So, you know, for me, like people say to me, oh my God, that must have been really hard. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it was a bit of a struggle, but the focus was on the end result, maybe not what, you know, you went through to get there. And
you even come up with classic cliches like going, oh, that's just life. She'll be right. You know, it's in the past now. Yeah.
And
lessons learned. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was listening to Gary Vee the other day on a podcast, and my eldest stepson had got me onto him, and I love him. I love him. He's like, blah, blah. His energy's great.
Yeah.
And really just says it as it is. And what was he saying? He was saying about, you know, oh, that's right. It's almost, there's a part of, you do focus on the good, like he was saying about his upbringing. You know, he was brought up pretty hard in a, you know, but been made to be very independent, and that's kind of what he looks at to I suppose show where he is today, and then how far he's come, because he was brought up with, you know, get out there and do things and not mollycoddled, and he very much refers to how this generation is more, you know, we are a little bit more helicopter parents and things like that do tend to hold back kids rather than allow them to step into their personal power. But he was saying the same with his child. He said, I can focus on the negative. He said there were things that weren't great, but all he does is he focuses on the positive and how his parents have influenced him to where he's at today. And I thought that was pretty powerful too, because sometimes we do have a not so ideal backstory, but do we want to focus on it? Do we want to go back over it? Or do we want to move forward, you know, regardless of past? So I feel sometimes.
I agree with yourself and Gary Vee. He's got a very good message there, and so do you, Tonia, in that sense where, you know, what we've got to look at is what are the positives. Look, and I'll talk about this personally, and I'm pretty sure you can do. My father was, and God bless him, beautiful dad and everything, I just like to brush that away. I'm going to go see a psychologist. I have daddy issues.
I love it. Love it.
However, my father, whenever I had a problem, and I can remember distinctly this, where I'd go, Dad, you know, I've got a problem with A, B, and C. And he'd turn around and he goes, work it out yourself. You know, you don't have problems, you have solutions. Don't talk to me about your problems. Yep. And that was hammered in. And I've actually wrote down how many times I heard it, so the conditioning behind it. Now, in saying that, Dad grew up in a different time where that was the status quo. That was how people rolled. And what Gary Vee and yourself are saying, that's not paying dividends. It's really not. So how do we now go into a mindset where we go, okay, let's focus on the positives. Let's move forward and go, okay, how do I break out of that stigma of going, I'm going through a tough time, who do I talk to, and how do I move on really quick?
And it's right. And how do you know, like, it's getting those tools. And for everyone, it is a little bit different. But I think partly, or what I've learned a lot when I was facilitating Louise Hay workshops, you know, for transformation was to be able to let go of the past to create that new future. And it's not to say that it gets dismissed what's happened, you know, in your past, but we want to be able to step forward and not allow those setbacks, I suppose, or things that you focus on to be about that, but to be about moving forward.
Yeah, I like that, because it is sometimes, what is it, the past can drag us down.
Yeah.
And we don't need to resonate with that energy, that's for sure.
You know, and for everyone it's different. So it's, you know, I suppose sometimes it's easier said than done, but I do think sometimes we need to look at, you know, moving forward and being the best we can be. It's about starting from that point forward.
And you know what another important thing is? Exactly, moving forward. But you know what I found really beneficial these days is surrounding myself with really beautiful, positive people that have your best interests at heart. And Tonia, that's what I love about you is that, you know, when we talk and we connect, you have my best interests at heart and vice versa. And I think that's really important too. Have a look at who you surround yourself with. Don't have people that are going to doubt you, bring you down. Being challenged is healthy, right? But a healthy challenge, not where they're trying to be better than you. So yeah, get people that love you and support you. I think that's a big thing in life.
That's awesome. Beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Tonia, with Are You Okay Day, I've got to ask this. Are you okay?
Yes, I am getting there now. I have to say, the beginning of the week, it was had a really busy weekend, which was fantastic. I loved it, but just for me, very just going through some, you know, just I suppose different things that had been happening around, and just being able to pull back a bit and do some self-care. So that's been really important for me. So I feel like now I've come through the other side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, we had a chat about this yesterday, and I understand that you did have a tough week, beginning of the week, and I'm so glad we had that chat. Just out of curiosity, what are some of the things that you did, the self-love that you gave to yourself that helped you come on through these tough times? And we don't need to go into what the tough times were, but they were just tough times.
Yeah, absolutely. I connected with nature, so getting outside, connecting with my animals. That's a really good boost for me, and because the sun's been out, I've actually been in the sunshine. I love listening to podcasts because learning to me is I get a kick out of that. So you know, I was driving into Melbourne, so I was like, put my podcast on and you know, have a listen and get inspired. So that definitely helped. But it's almost like anything that feeds my soul. So I love reading books. I love listening and learning. That's really important. I love nature, and I'm blessed to be in a beautiful part of the world here. So yeah, definitely. And being present for me was like, okay, because I'm always thinking of the next thing or focusing on what my business or how can I do different things. So I get into my head a lot, and I find when I'm going through that where I need to step back, I need to stop that. So then I will be aware of being present. So I will strip back the layers a little bit. And just be in the moment.
I love that. How long did it take you to realize that's what you had to do, was get back in touch with nature, get in touch with your animals again, listen to some podcasts, and then just feeding the soul, as you say, because when you're down and out, that shit's not easy to remember. You know? No,
that's right. I suppose I'm lucky because I have a great connection to spirit for me. So it's like I get the prompts.
So is your spirit not with Vodafone?
No, because I'd have no connection then, would I?
Boom, yes.
I'm currently my home internet's with Optus, but oh God, give me Telstra any day.
And just for people in America, listen to this. Vodafone in Australia, it's great. It just had a reputation about 10 years ago. It always used to cut out. So that's a mobile phone carrier. That's all it is. Yeah. They're good now. I'm pretty sure if they sponsored this show, I'd the only one I'd use.
That'd be fine.
No, but going back, you've got a great connection with spirit. Yep.
Yeah, so I get the reminders and I get pulled up and I take note, and I find that's very important, is take notice. Everyone gets the signs, you know, and like you say, it's almost, I was a little bit like feeling a bit burnt out because I'd been, you know, burning the candle at both ends. And I had a gorgeous Sam on our retreat on Sunday. She said to me, I was listening to your radio show going, you were saying you were taking time out because you were a bit burnt out. She goes, and I'd messaged you and you replied late and said, I'm really sorry, blah, blah, blah. She said, you weren't honouring yourself by replying to my message. Like she was, so she was saying you did, you know, more or less I shouldn't have replied to her message because I was having time out. She said, you know, so you weren't honouring not doing that. But we were laughing about it, and she was so beautiful.
Was it true though? Was it correct?
Yeah, it probably was.
Yep.
Yeah.
My lights have just gone out. I'm going to turn lights on. Whilst you do that, have a quick chat. Keep on talking. I'll be
That's
back
a
in 3.
sign,
No,
I
no,
think.
no, no, no. It just means the light's gone off.
I love it. He hasn't moved enough. Obviously, it must be a sensor light. Have you not
Hey,
moved
Tom.
enough? Have
No,
you not moved enough?
I don't think so. And being an ethnic, you think I talk with my hands all the time.
I
This will just keep on
know.
working, right?
I know. I
Not
know.
enough.
Love it. Love
Not
it.
enough.
So, what have you been doing now? Self-deflecting, Tony. I'm just going to go over. Are you okay? And how are you from recovering from feeling a bit down?
Yeah, look.
How are you in this present moment?
I'm really good. I'm really fantastic. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. And I genuinely mean that I am actually in a really good space at the moment. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I was in a terrible space. I was down and out. I had a whole lot of self-doubt. I had no energy. I was just not honoring myself whatsoever. And I pulled myself out of it. A couple of things that I did was I connected with a friend, had a chat to them. And then I actually went into meditation. It was a really good meditation. And it was one about where it was honoring yourself. And it was it was a good visualization. You went out into a garden and they go, what do you want to plant in your garden? And I went, this is really interesting. So it was love and it was hope and it was inspirational. And they manifested in flowers and all that. And they go, okay, so how do you keep this garden nurtured? And it's like, well, I've got to water it. So which means I've got to put energy into it and things like that. And I started to go, and that was a nice way to break into it. I also listen to podcasts. So somebody that I actually connect with quite strongly is, it'll be Russell Brand or let's say Tim Ferriss, guys like this that are deep in thought and ask really good questions and are loving and nurturing as well. And I started to exercise again. Exercise works really well for me. So I did that. So, and I went out to the pools and normally I swim easily 1 kilometer or so. I think on the Monday or Sunday, I only had energy to do 200-300 meters, which is, nothing at all. But I just thought, let's just push it and grind through it. The next thing I did was once I started doing that, I do a bit of a process where I stand in front of a mirror and I have a chat to myself. And I go, Tony, what's going on? What's really going on? Let's have a chat here. And that conversation goes for 10, 15 minutes. And then I'll ask myself questions. I'll basically counsel myself. I'll go, are you being the best version of yourself? Are you honoring yourself? What aren't you doing? What are things that you need to give up so you can actually move forward? It's not so much what should I be doing to move forward, but what are some of the habits that are not working for you right now that you should get rid of, and then you can move forward. So that was quite powerful as well. And then we've come to today, Thursday, and I actually feel much, much better. So thank you for asking. And and I spoke to you yesterday, which actually really helped as well. So that was really nice to reach out to you. And that was beautiful because you give me some really nice insights and you listen, and you would listen so well. So in that sense, I'm okay.
Great. And it's so cool. And I mean, these are, and this is what I love about our conversation, because we're sharing things for others that can also take on some of our ideas, and maybe, there'll be something in what we've shared today that will inspire somebody else. And, that's
do
our
you
story.
think there are people out there that think like us?
Oh, I think so.
Oh, shit,
There's
I'm worried
lots of
now.
people.
I thought it was just you and I. It's like, which is awesome.
I
Tonia,
can't wait to connect. I can't wait to get our viewers up and going for Thursdays. I know it's going to be great. So they're going to love joining us with fun.
Yep. And my apologies. I don't know anything about technology. So I'm a student to technology.
Tony's
now.
going out to buy an iPhone.
Whatever it takes now. Whatever it takes, I am in. I'm absolutely in. So we will work this out.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Suppose we should wrap up now and finish up. What would you like to close with, Tony?
Ton, I'd like to say thank you so much. And thank you to all your viewers. Your viewers are fantastic. So I'm looking forward to connecting with them as well. And it's been fun. As always, it's bloody fun. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week, which really excites the hell out of me.
Yes.
But
I love that. I love that the Virgo that you are embraces that, Tony. That's very admirable.
So I do. I love it. Absolutely love these chats. And I'm really looking forward to next week. And thanks a lot for having me.
No worries.
All right.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.